time in America because of the time change.
Yeah, good then. Okay, excellent. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world, and welcome to Scitrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. Apparently at the right time in the United States, but the wrong time here. But we're going an hour early because it's Mother's Day here, and apparently that means I have to cook a meal. She's not my mom. But yeah, so I'm going to cook a meal. Screw it. Oh no, wait a second. Are we going live? Are we not going live on?
It says we're going live. We've been at it for 37 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's just trying to do it on Twitter, but it's not working. So screw it. I'm just going to cancel that. So all gone. So we're live. I might just check. So it's just me and you, Stormy.
All right.
So thank God your wiener never didn't fall off, or it would just be me on my own.
Wiener is intact.
Your wiener is all right, baby. I'm sorry, I just always have so much fun with that. Let me just double check. We are live. Right, okay. So I'm going to have a bit of a Star Trek rant in a minute, if that's all right. Which I got blown at. But first of all, I've got news on the Bionic Man, Knight Rider, Airwolf reboot that I've been talking about for a couple of months. So, did you catch my videos on that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I did.
Excellent. Good man. Michael's with us. Hey, look. Laura, look. He's got his wiener. And Michael, how you doing? Sorry, we're a bit out of whack. People will catch up in a minute. So yeah, basically during the strikes, some executives or producers over at NBC and Peacock. It is NBC, isn't it? I always keep mixing up NBC. CBS is Paramount. NBC's Universal, right? I think that's right.
Yes.
But we don't get that here, so you'll have to excuse me if I get them wrong sometimes. Michael's happy to see you, Stormy. Hail, Jay. Hail, Stormy. Hey, Judah Khan.
Hey, all.
Right, so... And Mark's with us. Hey, Mark. Gordon's with us. And Scout 3. And yeah, I got it right. I got something right. Yay! Professor Cringe. He's there.
That's me.
Right, so NBC Universal, a couple of producers were basically sat around during the strikes, and they sort of went, how about if we did the A-Team, Knight Rider, Street Hawk maybe, Airwolf and the Bionic Man, but they'll all exist within the same universe, and we'll do like a Marvel type series where they all interlock with each other, and we'll have like a phase 1 that'll end in a movie, and it'll be awesome. And I got told this because I know somebody that works with a couple of people actually that thought it up. So Eileen Irvine, hey guy, hey Klopp, United fan. Sorry. But this was, I never actually thought it would go anywhere though, because there seemed to be a lot of these ideas sort of bouncing around at the time, because they were like producers sort of sat around there twiddling thumbs. When we're back, what should we do? But I've actually had a bit of an update. It's gone beyond just a thinking now. So apparently they've dumped the A-Team out of it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a production team now. It's moved to Peacock. So NBC Universal have sort of said, right, this is definitely going on Peacock. So now there's a small production team at Peacock, apparently. And they are now currently looking for a production partner. So they're asking for pitches, basically, from different production partners. So this is sort of what happened with Stargate about 18 months ago, that Amazon sort of went, yeah, we're going to do this. They put together a pitch pack, which is currently apparently what these producers over at Peacock are doing now, of like, this is the kind of thing we're thinking about. What do you think? And then these companies will come back and they'll pitch, and then somebody will be allowed to make it. It should be the Bionic Woman. Maybe there will be a Bionic Woman. Who knows?
Should be. It's Mother's Day there in the UK.
Hey, Sarah. So yeah, it is Mother's Day here in the UK. So first of all, what do you think about that generally? Is that something? Do you think that would be a good idea? Do you understand why they're thinking about it?
Well, okay, so let me show my bias. I used to have an Oscar Goldman lunchbox. Any of you remember who Oscar Goldman was? He was
I know who Oscar Goldman was.
Right. Okay, so just want to make sure that everybody was keyed in on it. Yeah, I was a big fan. It would be, I think it'd be, back then there was a lot of shows like that, like Airwolf and all the ones you discussed. And there was also Battlestar Galactica back in those days. And if they could do to those other shows what they did to Battlestar Galactica, really read it right, don't come up with something outlandish. I remember the first episode of A-Team. The thing that really drew me in was the gang was on some cargo plane. They were flying to maybe Panama or someplace in Central America, and they asked the pilot, "Do you know where you're going?" They said, "No, we're just following the airplane in front of us. United or Pan Am doesn't mind hitchhikers."
Yeah,
it was just such really funny statement. And excuse me, if they could really treat the material maturely, I think it'd be awesome. I mean, like Knight Rider, I'm still not sure about because basically not Kit is now just a Tesla.
Yeah,
the big thing about Knight Rider was, oh my gosh, a car that talks, does all this stuff. Well, now Tesla. And now a Tesla, it's I think it's when you say open your ass, the electric port door opens. It's just crazy. So that's Knight Rider. It's a Tesla dealership.
Yeah. I think from what I'm being told, the idea is this will be the next AI. There's going to be artificial intelligence involved in this. So for me, Kit completely fits because Kit is AI. I think there's going to be like the same system on the Airwolf or something maybe, and that's how they'll tie these things.
I see. Are you saying the AI is the tie-in between all the shows?
I think so, because then the Bionic Man could have the AI as well, or something like that. So those three link together really, really well. Knight Rider would be some sort of civilian, spy thing. Airwolf though is a bit more military, so I don't know how that's going to tie together. I kind of understand why they've dropped the A-Team, but the thing is, the A-Team is owned by Disney, so that's they were apparently they explored it, but it's just not going to happen. And from what I was told, speaking to the one person that's reasonably close to it, they sort of said they couldn't really figure out how to make it work anyway. They're the biggest name. They really wanted the A-Team in from like a sales point of view, but they're like, we can't really fit it in the story. The rest of these things sort of fit together. We could see how that could work, but we don't really. So we'll see. But
I mean, A-Team kind of, A-Team seemed like it was drawn on a whole lot when they did the Expendables franchise.
Yeah.
It was a similar kind of flavor, I think. Not exact, but it was just similar kind of flavor. I think they did copy a lot from the idea of A-Team.
Yes. Smash that like button, people. Like, subscribe, share the video, whatever the hell you like. $170,000 gift bag.
Yeah,
I'm going to the Oscars. No, I don't care about the Oscars in the slightest. I basically think if an Oscar wins, if a movie wins Best Oscar, I ain't watching it. Wins Best Movie or whatever, I just turn it off. I tell you what, I watched that. Is it Little Things, Smaller Things? The Emma Stone movie that's getting a lot of Oscar buzz with Mark Ruffalo. It's on Disney Plus at the moment. There's just an awful lot of sex in it, and I didn't get it.
Oh, now you tell me.
Yeah, I'll go watch it. It's on Disney Plus. Whoa. There is an idea that Street Hawk could be in it as well, Eileen. That has been mentioned, but I think Street Hawk wouldn't be sort of like a regular thing. It would be, I think there'll be a Knight Rider series. I think there'll be an Airwolf series, and there'll be a Bionic Man series, and then there'll be characters that jump between the three, and that is the sort of thing maybe Street Hawk could do. That it would be something that appeared maybe across the things like this. And this week's special guest star is Street Hawk. Yeah. So we could get something like that. The A-Team with AI would be awesome. Because imagine BA having an argument with the van.
The AI team, right?
The vans are going, I'm not going to do that, Mr. Baracus. I pity the fool that disagrees with me.
The van slowly pulls into a Taco Bell on its own.
Yeah. Harris not with us today because he's at a wedding, so he shouldn't even be watching.
Harris is getting married. Harris is getting married.
Yeah, Harris is getting married. Congratulations. Everybody send the gifts to me.
Yes,
I promised to pass them on. I need a new toaster. And that'd be great. But yeah, I think it's an interesting project. I think it's an interesting idea. It does seem to be moving forwards. I think if they do put it out to stream, if they do put it out to pitches, I think this will leak out now, and you'll be hearing it more than just here. But yeah, if it moves forwards, I think it could be really cool, and it could be. The only thing I'm being told at the moment is though that it won't get greenlit, or they won't move beyond this until they know what's going on with Peacock, because there are serious conversations about it merging with Paramount Plus, and if it does, that could change things, obviously. But I think it would make it more likely, not less, personally.
Yeah, Peacock. I mean, Peacock's a mess. I mean, it was. I tried to watch the Super Bowl on Peacock, and I had to reboot the app like 37 times.
Yeah.
I mean, totally crap. And it wasn't just because of the Super Bowl. I was binging something like the 2 weeks before, and it just always crapped out. You know, it's just, and their GUI's terrible.
I didn't try to watch the Super Bowl on there, weirdly. American football is one of those things. I keep thinking I'm going to get into American football, and then I watch one, and I go, I'm not getting into American football. This is stupid. I bet if I was drunk, I'd really enjoy. I bet I'd love it if I went to a live game. I bet I would love it. I bet the atmosphere is amazing.
Oh yeah, it is definitely a party atmosphere. You know, it's like hockey is okay to watch on TV, but if you go to a match, you turn into a fucking barbarian. I mean, the first time I went to a hockey match, it was just a regional league, and I lost my voice. I was shouting so much profanity. I didn't even have a team. I was just swearing at the top of my lungs like a proper Roman would at the Coliseum.
Yeah. I watched the Rangers versus Toronto Maple Leafs. Is that right? Ice hockey at Madison Square Garden at Christmas.
Fancy.
Yeah, it went. Oh no, I was in the nosebleed seat, so we couldn't have been any further away.
Still fancy.
Still cost a fortune as well. But it was amazing. It was cool. We were on the way out. We go Rangers, go Rangers. Yeah, we were loving it. Absolutely loving it. Yeah, but I think it's a good idea. We'll see how it goes. The main thing I wanted to talk to you about, we'll talk about a bit about what we're watching at the moment at the end. I do kind of need to be done by 5, so I can go cook. So we've got about 45
have to cook.
I gotta cook.
That means something different here in New Mexico if you've got to go cook.
Yeah, you could just
Breaking Bad reference.
Yeah. But right, Star Trek. Right, so I did a couple of Star Trek movie videos this week, and one of the things I said on the video was that the J.J. Abrams movies were not commercially successful. And I got a very angry comment back going, how are we supposed to trust you if you make simple mistakes like these movies weren't financially successful when Into Darkness is the most has the biggest box office of any Star Trek movie ever. Right? How are we supposed to believe anything you say? So I was like, right. For one, Star Trek Into Darkness isn't the biggest box office ever. It's Star Trek, the 2009 Star Trek movie. So I corrected him on that. But then I thought, were they actually profitable? And what Star Trek movies were profitable? Right. So for one, if you had to say off the top of your head, for the studio, so it's commercially successful, which is what this guy was saying. For it to be commercially successful, it's got to make money for the studio, right?
Yes.
Simple. What Star Trek film do you think, out of all of them, the original Star Trek's TNG and the new and the J.J. Abrams ones, what is the most profitable movie for the studios that's ever been done out of all of them?
Is this adjusted for inflation?
Adjusted? No. Right. Not adjusted for inflation, but not adjusted for the price of ticket sale changing.
Okay.
So we adjusted the dollars, but we didn't, because that's a separate thing. I'll go into that in a second.
Well, I remember from all the Star Trek movies that's come around, it's the one that was hard to get into that people really went nuts for was Voyage Home.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse
The
me.
Voyage Home is
Huh?
the Voyage Home is the most profitable Star Trek movie they've ever done.
Is it really? Okay. I mean, you know, the Abrams, you know, I didn't even have to reserve a seat. I just go buy a ticket, walk in, and the theaters half full on opening weekend. You know, but Voyage Home, it was. I think I still have I might have the commemorative red cup I got when I went to the theater.
Yeah. Well, can you guess out of the two films, Star Trek movies that got the most bums in seats, and they're only about 1 million apart, but what most sold the most tickets?
Sold the most tickets.
And if you get, there's an original series movie and one of the newer movies.
Sold the most ticket. Well, for most tickets, I would say Voyage Home. For the new movies, no. Well, let me give you the second guess. For the newer movies, I would say Search for Darkness.
No.
No, I don't know what I'm talking about. You should.
No, I was surprised as well. That's why I'm asking you really, to be honest, because I wanted your opinion without looking into it. Because when I looked into it, I'm like, really? I was really surprised. The motion picture is the most watched Star Trek movie at the cinema. We're only talking about the cinema here. We're talking.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah.
So, 57 million tickets roughly were sold. 55 million tickets were sold for the 2009 Star Trek reboot. So those are the two most watched at the cinema.
This is the one you're talking. The one that started the Kelvin timeline, right?
Yeah, the 2009 Kelvin timeline Star Trek movie. The problem is, right, that all of these are adjusted for inflation. The motion picture cost $46 million adjusted for inflation to make. It just about made money because ticket prices were quite a lot lower back then. So ticket prices have outpaced inflation, basically.
Yeah.
Ticket prices should be about $8 if it kept up with inflation, and from when the original Star Trek movie came out, but they don't do that. They cost twice that. So I just think it's unbelievable.
That's amazing. That is amazing. It is.
Which one of the Abraham movies do you think actually made money?
I would say that's actually made money. I think. Okay, so I was living in San Francisco when I went to go see the first Kelvin movie with Chris Pine, and I saw it. I think it was in IMAX, and there was like 8 other theaters, and it's all playing the same movie. And I would say that because it was literally hard to get in. I mean, it was jamming. It wasn't hard to get in as a Voyage Home, but it was hard to get in. There was a lot of interest in it, at least locally there at the. I forget the name. It was like the Sony Odeum or something. Big fancy theater, 1 floor, nothing but Sony video games. But yeah, I would say that one.
None of them. It was a trick question.
So
none of them have made money for the studio.
Yeah,
they all make money for the cinemas because they take their cut. But so when a movie comes out, the studio gets to keep about 45% of the money, right? And then the cinemas take the rest, the 55%. So you've got to basically half the box office to try to figure out whether this company's made money. So Into Darkness. Well, no, we'll start off with the 2009, cost $155 million to make, right? But it took $463 million at the box office.
Healthy.
So, but they only get to keep 40% of that. So it's a little under half. So the studio basically made about $220 million.
Mm-hmm.
Small problem, that's only the production cost. It doesn't include marketing costs, which the
Marketing,
studio.
crazy. They spend tons
Yeah.
on marketing.
So they spend anything from a third to 100% of the production costs on marketing. Even if they only spent the minimum, which would have been another $50 million, that basically means they lost around $20 million on the first 2009 movie, the actual studio. Into Darkness basically means, I think I've written down at the bottom, Into Darkness was $190 million budget. The cut was $225 million for the studio. So they made maybe $35 million, but they may have spent anything between 60 and $190 million on the actual marketing. So that means they lost something between 25 and maybe $150 million. They didn't spend $190 million on marketing. But the reason is a lot of studios don't actually release what they do spend on marketing. So we have to guess a little bit. They reckon the estimate is normally about 50%. That seems to be what they go for.
Just about every big name director. I mean, Hollywood accounting is infamous for being fraudulent. And just about every big name director has ended up suing the studio just for that. I remember Peter Jackson, after the 3 films he did, the Lord of the Ring trilogy. I mean, they Warner Brothers and I think his New Line really screwed him like tens of millions of dollars, that they gypped him. And all sorts of other irregularities came out when they started going through the case. And it's just, so when a studio claims it's not making any money, I think it's, now a lot of times they do lose money on films, but these big blockbusters, I think the reason they say they lose some money is so the people that's getting a percentage of the back end can really get screwed over.
Oh, yeah, they do it for tax purposes as well, don't they? They'll move profit from one film to another film and vice versa, because they want all the films to break even because they don't want to pay any tax. So they do things like that as well. If we adjust the figures for inflation and today's ticket prices, so if all of these films were released today and they did as well as they did back then, what do you think the highest grossing Star Trek movie is of all time?
Highest grossing? Well, I know it's not Star Trek Beyond.
I'll talk about that in a sec.
Okay, you're going to get the hate mail, not me, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Highest grossing and with adjusted dollars? I don't think it's I don't know. Maybe Generations. Maybe First Contact. It seems like it would be one. No. Oh, okay. Not Voyage Home.
No.
Into Darkness.
Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Again.
If it adjusted for dollars and for today's ticket prices, it would have made $507 million at the box office, which is just more than what the 2009 and what Into Darkness made. Not by much, but it's just more. What was it? Into Darkness was 500 and something million. 500. It was like $505 million or something at the box office. Worldwide box office this is as well. So yeah. But I did the math basically for the motion picture. Today's ticket prices, if it had been released today with the same budget and everything, it would have made between it would have made something like $180 million profit for the studio. It actually made something like $10 to $30 million profit at the time. And that wasn't adjusted for thing. That's what they actually made at the time, sort of thing. When I started breaking it down, honestly, I was stunned. The Wrath of Khan only cost $11 million to make, right? Adjusted. It sold 32 million tickets, though, 32 million bums in seats, and only made $297 million, which still would have been a massive payday for the studio because they spent so little on it.
Right.
So it's nearly made 30 times more at the box office than it did cost to make. So I think.
Yeah, it kind of surprises me about in the motion picture being in that slot. Gates McFadden, she narrated this one show is a documentary on Star Trek. It was titled, or it is titled, "The Center Seat: 55 Years of Star Trek," and the problems that they had, especially in the special effects department for motion picture, was astounding. So it kind of, it was a disaster. The film was the creation of the film, the production was an absolute disaster. So I do recommend that. I think it's on Paramount. No, it's on.
Yeah, I've not watched it actually. Weirdly,
yeah, it's the Center Seat. 55 years of Star Trek.
There's one on Amazon as well at the moment, a Star Trek documentary. I've not watched that either. I forget what that's called as well. But Dave makes a good point here, though, that if they were released today, people would wait for it to go on streaming service. And that's why I said, that's why I've just focused on box office, though, because none of these films then had DVD sales or, lifetime earnings. It's going to be way higher for things like Wrath of Khan and stuff, because they were sold on VCR and then they were sold on DVD. And now they're on streaming and things, and they still get really good views.
Well, back then it would go to cable, premium cable, Showtime or Cinemax or HBO or something. Then it go to VHS.
Yeah,
and it was, or just go and then you just go pick it up at Blockbuster.
There you go.
But there's so many ways to get these filmed. It's like
that was an income for the studios, because the blockbuster videos were really expensive. I used to work in a video shop, and even then the DVDs for all the movies were like 70, 80 pounds for each copy we had, because we had to buy the license with it. So the studios were getting 50 or 60 quid every one that we bought.
Yeah.
So they still make a fortune. Nowadays, all they've got is streaming and digital sales. But digital sales aren't great. People wait for it to go on streaming. When it goes on digital sale, they're like, I'll wait for that to go on streaming, thank you. They do okay out of it, but it's not great.
Yeah, locally, I don't even think we've got. Used to there'd be like a huge DVD, Blu-ray section in music stores, but I don't think there's one locally that I can remember. There was one in Portland, Oregon, but that was like 8 years ago. But it's like I agree with you. The here you can get new release DVDs along with that comes with a digital copy. In the grocery store. It's just whatever the latest releases are. They put up a little stand. You pick one up if that's your thing. And you used to do that a lot just to get the actually have the DVD plus the digital copy. But these days I don't even bother with the DVD.
I don't buy DVDs anymore.
It's like I was thinking about going to Dune 2 today. I was like, I have a couch. And then there's
I could pee twice in that time.
Yeah, and there's people outside and at the mall and the theater, and then there's the big orifice popcorn bucket, and it's just I think I have a couch. So I'm gladly just waiting for you have to come in as a digital copy of it. You just buy it, download it on Apple, and be done with it. And I still have my couch.
Peter gave all his DVDs away to charity shops. I never have done. I've got books, folders full of DVDs, and I've got I counted them once. There's like 900 DVDs.
Damn.
And I've never get but 90% of them are available on Disney Plus or whatever. Yeah. The other thing that stopped me though was thinking I'm not just going to willy-nilly get rid of these. And it was I wanted to watch Dogma, Kevin Smith's Dogma one of the days. So I thought I'm going to watch that. And I searched for it everywhere, and I could not find it. It's not available on DVD or anything. So I had to dig through my DVDs, and I found it. I found my copy from years and years ago. That's what stopped me when I realized not everything's available on streaming. Not everything you can't watch everything.
Here's an example of that, and I don't know why this isn't a thing.
It's on YouTube. Dogma's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, Dogma's on YouTube. So I was trying to because all the Dune hype. I started watching. I started with the first Dune movie, and then I was going to watch the sci-fi miniseries. It's nowhere except YouTube. I looked everywhere, and it was like there's a really good copy on YouTube. Through all 3 episodes, no commercials.
Yeah.
Excellent. I guess it was just. I think it may have been in 4K. It's really high resolution. I don't know what it was. But I saw it on my big, huge ass, see it from space TV, and there was a
The dogma's missing because of Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein personally owns it and won't release it. Kevin Smith's actually tried to buy it 2 or 3 times, and Harvey Weinstein won't sell it.
Oh,
yeah. So Kevin Smith's like, hopefully at some point he'll need more solicitors' fees, and he'll take it because he wants to do a sequel. And he says he will not touch it if Harvey Weinstein's name is attached to it in any way.
I heard that was somebody else's film, that Weinstein is just, it's mine. Fuck you. You're never going to see it again. But yeah, the way I used to have tons of DVDs, and I also had tons of books too. And I started a charity, Books for Soldiers, just to have a good way to give them to soldiers, British and U.S. soldiers serving in the Middle East. And then everything I wanted, I just kept the digital copy I'd get off of the DVD package, and then I was good to go. But yeah, charities and libraries will always take books or DVDs. Sometimes, if it's an overwhelming amount of books or DVDs, they'll have a library sell them to the patrons, and then they'll use it to fund the library. But yeah, libraries, if you ever can't figure out where to donate something, visit a library, see if they'll take it.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Second one says if you don't own it, if you're on the digital copy, take it away. On streaming, even on YouTube, I said to somebody about how Street Hawk. I watched the Street Hawk opening 2 episodes on YouTube. They released a movie, and I was saying it stands up. I really enjoyed it. It was good. And I said that on a video, and then somebody come back and no, it isn't. And I went and looked, it's been taken down, and I was just like. I watched it when I had back pain and I was on quite high drugs. It was actually when I slipped my disc last year, and I was on quite a lot of drugs. So I'm hoping I didn't imagine it. But yeah, I'm sure I watched it on YouTube because I watched it on my phone, but it's gone now.
Did they remove it because it was in the UK or
maybe it was in the UK and it's been taken down. But I looked for it, I searched and I couldn't find it. It had gone because I'd forgotten Christopher Lloyd was in it, and I'm there watching Christopher Lloyd in the street. It's brilliant. Not long. It was just after Taxi, so Christopher Lloyd looked all shriveled like he does in Taxi, sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
But pre Back to the Future. But yeah, I did see it. I didn't just imagine it, did I? I didn't. Yeah, but yeah, it's awesome. But it just shows when I was looking at this though how much the studios are spending on cinematic movies now, and how much they desperately need not to. It's just like the motion picture cost $46 million to make. The Wrath of Khan cost 11. It's just like, and that was a lot because they took a lot of the models from the first film. They had to do a lot of expense to set it up, but then the second film wasn't so bad because they just used the same models again.
Yeah.
But it's still a massive gap between the two, and that's what I'm looking at cinemas at the moment. Going, we're not going to see $300 million movies for much longer. We're just not, because they need to make $1 billion at the box office to break even.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem to be happening very often anymore.
Well, I was thinking about this, like all these small movies that's coming out, and you see they get a lot of attention during Oscars time or awards season. And it's like, how are these things even being made? How do you even consider a theatrical release? Because you're going to get hammered, financially. And I was just wondering if the only thing, in the future, the only thing that cinemas will be seeing is extravaganzas. Dune. What's
Barbie.
Barbie, Oppenheimer, or something like a Disney princess movie. Where you got to take everybody to go see, all the kids get to go see it. I mean, these, because it's a lot of movies. I don't see them. I mean, yeah, they may be Oscar worthy, but I don't think they're financial worthy. Or I don't know how the studios do it these days, trying to make these things financially viable, unless they're just have some super secret CPA shenanigans going on behind the scenes. I just don't know.
How often though does a movie come along that it is financially successful and does well at something like the Oscars? I'm thinking like Lord of the Rings did. There's got to be others. There's got to be. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but Barbie most recently is probably going to do well at the Oscars tonight. Oppenheimer will probably do well at the Oscars tonight.
Yeah,
those two things go hand in hand, is it?
It's. I think it's a difficult quandary for theater franchises and the studios. I mean, they're having a hard enough time making it on streaming because, excuse me, because the streaming is expensive enough, and a lot of them just can't get it right to save their soul. And you know what's interesting? You see, these big, huge plays, like Max and Netflix, and they're struggling to make money, and even Disney. But somebody like Tubi making money hands over fist. They don't have. I don't think Tubi has any original productions, do they?
No, they're following basically the Netflix model from a few years ago, weren't they? Before Netflix started doing its own stuff.
And so Tubi doesn't have any really huge tentpole movies. I mean, they play a lot of 80s and 90s, a lot of horror flicks.
Yeah,
but man,
Roku's similar, isn't it? Roku channel does really well, and that's been growing.
Roku, yeah. Roku is crazy. I was at an Airbnb, and the only channel was the Roku channel. Roku services. And so, if Tubi can make it, and I get the Tubi's not investing hundreds of millions of dollars in new production, but in terms of streaming, them in places like Pluto or whatever, they're doing fine.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's the way it's going to sort of be going in future, isn't it? That we're going to have Amazon. They've got Freevee, and there was loads of rumors that went around that Freevee was going to be axed because they started putting adverts on Amazon Prime. And I just at the time, I immediately put a comment out immediately going, no, it's not true. Calm down. It's not going to happen. But as far as Amazon are concerned, they've got their budget channel, Freevee. They've got their, first class channel in Prime, and they've got subsidiary channels like MGM and the mid-range stuff. And that's how it's going. But I think it'll be the same in streaming services. Netflix used to be, it used to only ever be stuff that they didn't make anything really. They made the odd thing here and there that was popular, but a lot of it was stuff films that you'd never seen in years. And at the time, somebody said to me, "Goes, well, you can get rid of your DVDs now because we've got Netflix." And I'm like, no, because all the good films aren't on there. Die Hard isn't on Netflix. Die Hard 4 might be, but Die Hard isn't. And Predators might be on there, but Predator isn't. The good films aren't on there because they cost too much for Netflix to put on there. The top of the top films aren't on there. And Netflix even today, it's not really. If they have a top movie goes on there, it tends to be something that either didn't do great at the box office, they get their hands on it, or it tends to be something that's only on there for a bit and then disappears. Yeah. Because Netflix aren't stupid. They've got their stuff, but Netflix aren't stupid. They're not going to be spending loads of money on license fees to studios because that's all their money going out the window. Mm-hmm. And there'll be streaming services that'll do that and make very nice money on programs that nobody wants to watch anymore, really. Or it'll be TV shows that you'd forgotten about. I'm like, oh my God, I've forgotten all about this. And that you'll binge. But a lot of the times people seem to be just watching TV for the sake of it sometimes. Which I did. Yeah, I've got to watch something. I got to put something on.
You gotta have something running in the background.
Yeah. I do that when I'm at work. I do have to watch things in the back every so often though. When I'm working, I've had to stop doing it. I've had to come up here now to my office and sit at my desk, and I can't have the TV in the background, so I just don't get anything done. But sometimes I'll sit downstairs if I'm having a quieter day, and it's just I think, oh, I'll put that show on that I've never got around to watching, and then it's fine until about 10 minutes in, and you realise this is really good. Well, that's the rest of my day screwed. It's like, I was hoping it was going to be one of those crap shows.
It's only got 117 episodes, so I've got to watch them all.
Yeah, now I'm binging this bloody show that I didn't know or care about 2 minutes ago.
Then all of a sudden you make a YouTube video about it.
Probably.
So, yeah.
Well, I did with Halo, actually. I did exactly that. Halo Season 2. I wasn't expecting much from it. I put it on in the background when I was at work, thinking this will be like the last season. I can zone in and out and it'll be fine. And then 3 hours later, I realized I'm on the 3rd episode and I haven't done any work at all. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to turn this off. This is too good.
So I've been putting it off because I haven't heard any, like any of my friends talk about it, that I trust. So it is good. Second season.
I really enjoyed it. It's a bit funny. The first episode I really liked. There's this scene where there's a fight on top, and he's the Master Chief, and they're fighting in a fog sort of thing. I won't spoil it for you because you haven't seen it, but it's kind of cool. It kind of looks cool. The next 2 episodes are a bit back to the first season. Oh god, they're talking a lot, and then from like the 3rd, 4th episode on, it just goes. Yeah, it's really good. And for a lot of it, the Master Chief, John, is running around without his armor. But the way they do it and the reason why they do it just adds to the character. It's actually really good. It's not because it's in his bloody contract. He's got to have his face out like in the first season, where he keeps taking the helmet off. He goes, "Put your helmet back on, you bloody idiot!"
Hey, going back to David B's comment, have you seen Shogun?
No. Right.
My cousin called me yesterday when I was driving back home. He was talking about, oh my God, I watched Shogun with these samurais, and the guy was in Lost. And oh my God, it's wonderful. I mean, that was a 20-minute phone call. I'm not going to give you spoilers, but it does this, and there's this in it. Yeah. And so he's typically a good judge of quality films. So now I'm going to have to be amazing. I don't even know what service it's streaming on. Is it Netflix or Prime or something?
It's on Disney, isn't it?
Is it Disney? I don't know.
I think it's Disney.
I hadn't checked because I've been head down in 4 other things I've been binging this week.
Yeah. Carlos has got a point here that it's not, if you're a massive Halo game fan, they talk about stuff that goes on in the game, but and it's very, very loosely based on the game. But we know from the first season they've got a whole different. They're doing it in a very different way. So if you're really obsessed with the game, this might irritate you. But if you just watch it from a TV show that's kind of inspired by the game, then you'll enjoy it. And I enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. But I'm not obsessed with the game.
Right. I played the first Halo game way back in the day just because it has Ring Worlds in it, and I was a big fan of Larry Niven's Ring World trilogy. That was really good. And I gotta give Carlos A. Smith props for his avatar, his icon, really well. Yeah, that's a shot. I forget. I think it's from Cassini on the backside of Saturn with the sun in front of it. I had that as my desktop back in a couple years ago. But that is one of the best space images I've ever seen. Is that from Saturn with the sun in front of it or behind it? Rather. Soldier. Yeah, it was has a record with Kurt Russell. He, I think, holds the record or did hold the record for. I mean, he's paid a huge amount of money for that film, but he holds the record for the amount of money per word spoken.
Yeah, he did at the time anyway. Yeah,
it was just. And the thing I remember about the movie is he was a kid in basic in training, and the sergeant says to him, "Yeah, there's that slow kid in the back. He's really going to screw up his time. Go take care of it." And Russell just goes back there, or the soldier goes back there and kills him, and they keep their time.
Yeah.
Their record is not besmirched.
I just always in Soldier when the guy loses his eye, and
Yeah.
he goes, "Well, you're good for nothing now. You're just gonna have to be a gunner. You're useless.
There's only 50% effective.
Gonna have depth perception." And they're going, "I've still got depth perception. Yeah. It might not be as good, but I'm not sure our eyes are far enough apart for it to make much difference." But and I used to shoot, with one eye. So, close range, you don't close. But if you see guys with like a pistol, like one eye, you're like, that's not what you do. I closed the wrong eye. Then if I did that, I just shot wildly off to the right. But anyway, when you're shooting with a pistol, you keep both eyes open. But when you're shooting with a rifle, you close an eye and you shoot. And I don't suddenly think, "Oh my god, I can't tell how far away that target is." That's not science, I don't think. But sorry, that's just a rant. It just always bugged me about that film. It's the only thing that bugged me about the film. Other than that, it's brilliant. I haven't watched it in years and years and years. So.
Well, once upon a time, I scratched this eye, and I had to wear a patch for several weeks. And I had my depth perception the first 2 or 3 days, but then it slowly, gradually went away. My brain forgot how to adjust, and so I would like be. Here's something I was trying to pour milk in a glass, right? And I poured the milk like 6 or 8 inches behind the glass. So I finally had to just put the glass up against the spout of the milk carton and just, do this.
Mind blown. It is a thing then. It's just that when I do that, my brain is compensating, but eventually I would lose depth perception.
I saw this film in back. This is 4th grade or something. They took a volunteer, and who would ever volunteer for this, I don't know. But they put these goggles on him that invert or flipped the image. So when he's looking straight, the sidewalk's above him. And so he tried to, and the brain compensated. After a few days, he could navigate a city street in New York. But then they took it off of him, and everything's all fucked up again.
Screwed him up. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
The brain has a lot of processing power and a lot of ability to compensate for what you don't see.
Well, we see upside down anyway, don't we? But our brain flips it because the light goes in and then hits the eye at the bottom. So we actually see upside down, but the brain, because it knows the world isn't upside down, unless you're in Australia, obviously, in which case it is upside down.
And whatever you're looking at's coming to kill you.
Yeah. Or rob you. I have to admit, we joked when I did that stupid 17-hour live video a couple of weeks ago, which I'm doing again in a minute. Actually, I'm going to mention Sarah in a second. At one point, we had an Australian fella on. Oh crap! I've forgotten his name. Oh, that's so mean.
That's so mean.
Oh, he's got a really cool name as well, and I've forgotten it. Oh man, he's a really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. Let's see if I can find him. So I want to say his name because I feel mean. Nathaniel. So Nathaniel or Nate was on. Lovely guy. We've got to have him again. He's such a nice guy. Really, really, really on his sci-fi as well. But I actually joked with him. So what did your granddad do? He went, "It wasn't my granddad. It was my great granddad." I was like, "Oh shit, I was joking." And I'm now dragging up your family history. But his great granddad had been done for something and sent on the ship from Britain to Australia. I was like, "Oh, you could have just said your mom was a nurse and emigrated or something." I felt so bad. But anyway, so
oh well.
Felt bad. But by that point, I'd been talking for like 18 hours. So actually, I didn't really care at the time. I was a bit sleepy. But our Sarah over here, back here, is going to come on alive in a couple of weeks. We'll arrange it shortly. And we're going to pick the best and the worst episode from every season of Stargate. And then I am going to watch them back to back. Don't know why. It was her idea. So we're going to do that. I'm also going to watch Firefly back to back at some point. I'm going to take a day off work and watch all the Firefly back to back. But that's a much easier thing to do.
You could do that in a day. Easy
Well, I'm
peasy.
gonna have to do this in a bloody day. It's 20 episodes of Stargate though, but I'm willing to do it. So it'll be fun. But we're gonna do a video in a couple of weeks and pick what episodes I'm gonna have to watch. And then do a live and talk about them or something. But weirdly, I did that 17-hour video a couple of weeks ago, and you won't believe how quickly the time went by.
Really?
I've been like streaming for like 3 hours before I even looked at the time. I was like, oh my god, I'm 3 hours in already. I got to about 18 hours. It got a bit much, but yeah. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Should be really good. Gladiators for Hollywood is Kurtzman is unemployed party. Don't know what that means. Hey, Chillin, you've got to come and do a video with me at some point. If I stop letting you down, you can come do a video with us.
Hello, Chillin.
I keep screwing you over. I'm really sorry about that. Hannah was brilliant. Only did 2 seasons. Did you catch that? The guy from it's really good. That was on Amazon, I think, wasn't it? Bob, you'll correct me. It starred in the first season. Starred the guy that's in. He did the RoboCop movie recently, and he's in For All Mankind. I don't know his name.
Right.
He starred in the first season. They might have had 3 seasons. Was it 3 seasons, Bob? You can correct me. But then it just never came back. It was really good. Really good. It's like a European produced show. And the girl they got playing Hannah was phenomenal. She could really kick ass. I got 3 seasons according to John. So Joel Kinnaman.
Hey, pronounce your name. Esme, the girl that played the person that played Hannah. Esme Creed Miles, is it Esme?
Sounds right to me. She's phenomenally good.
Okay, so I'm looking at it, and I remember the poster. I've seen the ads for it on Prime, but I just never did watch it. The poster really didn't give me any sense of what the story was about. So I'll have to.
If you enjoyed the movie, you'd love it. If you enjoyed the film, you'd love it. It was really, really good. It took the same sort of tone as the film. But anyway, we've got 10 minutes. Hannah is sort of it is. That's not far off actually. We got 10 minutes before we say goodbye, mate. So why don't we have a quick chat about what we've been watching?
Yeah.
You mentioned. I'll go first because you mentioned Shogun. I actually put the TV on with the wife, and I said, "Oh, we've got to watch this series, Shogun. It's just started." And she's like, "No, she looked at. I want to watch Mr. and Mrs. Black and Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Amazon," and I was just like, "Really? You're gonna want me to watch this?" I'm not sure. It's brilliant. It's so good.
Does it still have the same kind of humor that the movie had? With Brad Pitt and Angela Jolie?
There is going to be a scene because at the end of the first episode, they've got this season on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and there is a bit where they do have a fight, but no, it's more leaning into the relationship and their relationship developing, and they're very. It's a little bit more realistic. There is some humor in there, and they take the piss out of each other, but it's like a couple would in an early relationship, and it's a little bit more realistic than Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It's really good so far. But I know there is at some point they end up having a fight, and they're going to have that scene sort of thing where they kick each other's ass sort of thing. But yeah, it's just really, really intriguing. I'm really drawn into it. It's really good. Much better than I thought it was going to be. And I like the actors more than I thought I was going to, actually. It's the guy that the main star, who actually is the executive producer for it as well, is the guy that was going to play Calrissian in the Star Wars prequel that they never did. He was Lando Calrissian in is it Solo? But yeah, he's pretty cool. It's really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. So that's what me and the wife are binging at the moment.
I have to check it out.
Yeah. What are you watching at the moment? What are you enjoying?
So the thing is, now that I'm back at work, I don't have as much time to watch a bunch of TV, but still watching a Constellation, which turns out to be better every episode. It's
I've not watched it yet. Sell it to me.
if anyone that hasn't seen it, it's I don't want to give too much away, but it's a sci-fi movie, partially set on the space station, and it's a kind of a mystery movie, but it involves quantum mechanics. It is so good. It's crazy good. But
that sounds like a series I can't watch while working. That sounds like you need to concentrate on.
You gotta, because you're gonna miss things that that's important to storyline. It's very much like a Pulp Fiction. It's somewhat out of sequence, but God, is it good? It is really good. Constellation. It's on Apple TV. Constellation. It's excellent.
I've been told somebody's told me it's really boring, but is that because it's quite serious and it gets better as it goes along, sort of thing?
It's quite serious. Gets better as it goes along. And I'll give you the opening premise. There's an emergency, and this is the first 5 minutes, so it's not much of a spoiler. But there's a emergency on the ISS. Real bad emergency. Something hit it. Some foreign object, some FOD hit the space station. So the main character goes out and does a spacewalk to try to find out what hit the station and what they need to do to repair to get the life support back on. And so she's prodding around. She's trying, on one of the struts of the station. She's at a power junction. She's peeling back the panels, and out pops a dead cosmonaut from the 60s. Totally desiccated. And that's how it's
right.
And of course, the Russians deny we don't have any dead cosmonauts. It was a bag full of garbage. It's a garbage bag.
Yeah.
And so then you got all this international intrigue, and there's crazy experiment being conducted on ISS when it all goes to hell. And you got to watch it. It has to build, and now you really don't get the explanation of what's going on until the third episode.
Oh, I don't have to give you. I've been watching For All Mankind, and I've just started the third season, and I have to admit that is a show that gets better and better as it goes along.
Oh, it's amazing.
I guess a bit more action. There's a bit more action as it goes along.
A bit more action than Constellation. I finished up binging all of DS9. Star Trek Deep Space Nine last night. It's just always good. It's just there's a couple episodes of course don't care about. I skip over those, but one of the things there's two things I really do appreciate about Deep Space Nine is it's like one of the best shows, or maybe the only mainstream show that showed a really loving, positive relationship between father and son.
Yeah.
Usually, in cinema or television, you'll see if there's a father-son dynamic, it's usually on the abusive side. But it shocked me when they showed it. I mean, it was like, what? He likes his son, and son likes him, and they love each other and everything. So that hadn't been done a lot. And it was really, Scitrek Sunday did a spectacular job as Jake Sisko. He really did. The other thing that it comes to mind is it really shows is the first time I think it really went deep. It went there concerning PTSD, and that was when the character Nog lost his leg, and it was really well done, and it was sensitive to the topic, but it also showed the psychological horrors of what it's like to live with PTSD and make it through a war alive, partially, with bits and pieces missing.
I agree with it. But it was done the way Star Trek does, doesn't it? And that it was quite subtle. It was only when you sort of delve into it in your mind, sort of thing. It wasn't as in your face.
Also kept up with Masters of the Air. It's a World War II drama based on the 100th bombing wing, based out of England, I believe. And it was just the last episode they brought in the Red Tails and the P-51s. Excellent show, also on Apple TV. And I watched a couple more episodes of Beacon 23, and it's just something hard for me to get really into. I never look forward to the next episode. It's just
no, I'm struggling.
There's magic rocks. There's magic rocks.
Yeah. Are you aware of this story that the Deep Space Nine was basically stolen from J. Michael Straczynski, my favorite creator currently, JMS. Out of all the people that out of all the people that have called me a twat, he's my favorite. But do you know the story?
I've heard of it. I mean,
so basically, it comes that J. Michael Straczynski was trying to sell Babylon 5, and he had the whole 5-season arc done. And he actually went to Paramount. He pitched it to them. He had several meetings with them. They said no thanks. And then about 12 months later, he finally sold it on and got Babylon 5 made. But in that time, Deep Space Nine came out. Deep Space Nine actually came out just before Babylon 5. But Paramount were aware of the Babylon 5 story arc because JMS had pitched it to them. And they sort of argued, look, there's loads of similarities. It's based on a space station and all these things. I'm not convinced, personally, because I know that when Deep Space Nine was, because I saw a thing, Brandon Braga talking about it, and when he said basically the Deep Space Nine was green lit, the only thing Paramount said to him is it can't be on a spaceship. We want something a bit different. Yeah. So it can't be on a spaceship. And they were like, okay, but it's still got to be in space. So what other options do you actually have?
Yeah, there's I think they're both on space stations. But the storylines are completely different. It's like we're going to have a movie in a store. The basis is a store, but Fast Times at Ridgemont High did not, or was not the seed for Clerks.
No.
Yeah.
It's that for me. It's not like when it always seems that Hollywood does things in bursts. Mm-hmm. If there's an asteroid movie, and then Deep Impact and Armageddon come out within a year of each other, or whatever it was.
Jurassic Park, same thing.
Yeah. It does seem to happen a lot. But for me, I don't see a lot of similarities between Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5, other than the fact that they're both based on a space station.
Yeah.
Space Precinct was based on a space station done by the guy that made Thunderbirds. That doesn't
1999.
Yeah. But producers they pitched ideas to each other all the time, and it might have inspired Babylon. The creators might have thought that's a bloody good idea. We'd love to work, but the actual final product, they're very different.
Totally different.
Yeah. So no, I've never really subscribed to that theory myself. But JMS believes it. JMS tried to sue him. So he obviously believes it. I don't see where there's enough connections myself, but maybe he knows more than we do.
Yeah, Bob Outland on a space station.
Yeah. Which one was that?
Bob, his last one. Outland, 1981, was on a space station.
Yeah, there you go. So, you could also argue that how many things did, because, JMS might have been inspired by lots of TV shows. You could, the spirituality side of things as well. I just think it's one of those subjects, if you start getting into, unless somebody outright copies you, you're on dodgy ground, because, how many, I don't know.
Star Wars and Seven Samurais.
Yeah, exactly. It's a straight up copy, really. They just put it in space. I was actually going to say Harry Potter. Over here in the UK, there's a TV show and there's a series of books called The Worst Witch. And
heard of that.
Very similar. It's the worst. She's a young girl that doesn't know she's a witch, and then she goes to wizarding school and she's not very good at it. basically, and she's the worst witch. And that is, that's the TV show. They're very similar. When I first saw Harry Potter, I was like, that's just the worst witch. It's like, but Space 99, same thing.
Space 1999, yeah.
Yeah, technically it would be Star Wars and Hidden Fortress, you're not wrong. But wasn't Hidden Fortress inspired by Seven Samurai?
Well, I have no idea.
To be honest,
but I mean, there's been a lot of, I guess, literature or cinema critics, discussing the similarities between all of the Akira Kurosawa films and
there's a lot of connections.
Star Wars.
I'm watching The Three Amigos, and I'm not there sitting there thinking, no, just ripped off the Seventh Samurai again. I'm just sitting there watching this a good film, even though it is a straight rip off of Seventh Samurai, just a comedy version. But yeah, how many variations of one theme can we have? Many.
Yeah. Okay, Beacon 23 on a space station.
Yeah, there you go.
With magic rocks. So
yeah, JMS needs to switch.
And Babylon 5 mix, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Hidden Fortress had the R2D2 and C3PO characters. Yeah. Which was very similar. So yeah, you're right. All right, then, mate. I've got to go cook Sunday dinner. I gotta go cook it. And thank you so much for joining us. Next week, as long as Harris doesn't forget he's got something else that he's forgotten about, we will be having our Star Trek versus Star Wars presidential debate. And then the week after that, we might do that. If nothing else comes up between now and then, we'll maybe do that Stargate video where we're going to pick the worst and best episode from each season, which will be fun and interesting. Long live Stargate. It's never died. I did drop a little bit of Stargate news on Harris's video. It's not really news. I can't say much about it. It's so annoying. All I'm going to say is I've been told there's a date of May 25th for Stargate that we should be interested by.
May 25th.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically. And I can't say much more than that. I told Harris when I was off the stream, and he was like, no. I was like, yeah. And he was like, no. But this is all San Diego Comic-Con. It looks like that's going to be where they really want to drop this, but they won't announce it at San Diego Comic-Con. They'll do something else at San Diego Comic-Con, but they can't do the thing they want to do at San Diego Comic-Con without announcing it. So a person I've been spoke to has basically been told we've got a deadline of May the 25th to get our stuff done for this. So it may not be announced on May 25th, but it'll be close. But
it'll be something juicy this way comes.
Yes. Unless somebody else goes on strike, or there's another pandemic, or whatever it is going to screw it this time.
Oh my God.
Even just in the 3 years since Scitrek has existed, we've had 3 false starts. 3!
Jeez.
When it's come that close to being announced and that close to happening. And it's, just, fuck's sake. Anyway, let's see. Right. I'm going to go cook. Stormy, thank you so much. I'm really, really glad to see you looking healthier again, mate. You look a lot brighter.
Definitely, I'm feeling it. Definitely feeling it.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to see your boner fall off. I definitely didn't want to see it anyway.
That was rough.
Yeah, man. Well, I say you showed me the pictures of your leg with your bone infection, and it looked bad.
Yeah. I advise everybody to Google the word cellulitis.
Yeah.
And don't get it.
Yeah.
Google cellulitis and do not get it.
Okay. I'm going to not get it.
Do not get it.
I promise I won't. Boner infections, I'm married, so if I get one, my wife will kill me anyway. So if I get an STD, I'm my wife. So it's not really an issue. There's no antibiotics that can heal having your head cut off.
No,
I won't do that either.
Good.
So yeah, thank you so much. Everybody in the chat, thank you again. You've been absolute legends. We'll be back next week for that presidential debate. We'll be back the following week with the Stargate vid. I will have a think about doing another very stupid long stream shortly because I still need more money for San Diego Comic-Con. So I may as well do something stupid for it. Actually, I'm going to do it just because I really enjoyed it. I actually really did enjoy it in the end. So I'm not even going to ask you for any money. So good night, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever the hell you are. And we will see you next week.
See you guys later. Take care.